Good evening, class. My name is Shellie Oden Stevenson. I am from West Virginia, as many of you know, and I'm coming to you this evening and I hope that all is well. I hope you are as excited as I am that we're down to the last 2 weeks of this course, and of course new ventures still await us ahead, but congratulations on making it this far. I want to apologize in advance to Dr. Bailey and to the class, as I wanted to show some of my creative side and create a PowerPoint show to share with this presentation, but due to the timing and my technical difficulties, it's not going to be achievable for this assignment, but I'm hoping that I can move forward in showing some of that creativity in the future. So I will talk to you about my research proposal and try to get all this in within 7 minutes or under, and it's really difficult because I have recorded a couple times, so let's go ahead and try this. But my research proposal actually investigates the need for initiative taking measures beyond anti-discrimination legislation to ensure substantive equality for people with disabilities. This is increasingly recognized over the years, and such measures include a state-operated advocacy system acting as a means of enforcing rights and supporting individuals with disabilities, and in exercising their legal rights according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is referred to as the ADA as well, of 1990. And we may want to ask ourselves, accommodate or disaccommodate is what I always think about. So, what are we actually doing? Are we accommodating Americans? And the article that I'll refer to is Kaufman Scarborough, 1998. You will see that in my cited work under Retailers' Perception of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And it talks about suggestions for low-cost, high-impact accommodations for disabled shoppers. And it's really a great article if you have the opportunity to review that. And one of the things that I will bring up too is if you look at Latito Alvarez, that's in 1992. That's also in my cited work as well. The minimum space necessary for a person who uses a wheelchair to make a 180-degree turn in 60 inches by 60 inches. For instance, an employee who uses a wheelchair needs a space 5 feet squared to execute such activities as returning a tool to a bin or returning a book to the library shelf. The 5 square feet allow the employee to enter the enclosed area, complete the task, turn around, and exit. So even if you look at Latito, page 56 of that, you'll see some of those scenarios where we talk about, sizes and things that have to be done to be accommodating, not just for retail shopping and things like that, but for the accommodations we need to make in the work field as well. So we want to make sure that those things are being done. In the particular studies that I went over, when they start to ask, there were 16 employees that they had asked if they knew what accommodations needed or what the American Disability Act was about. Only 16 of those employees knew something about the ADA. They didn't know the ins, the outs, or what it really was about. They just had heard about it. So the one thing that we learn in our research is that we have to definitely educate not just ourselves and our staff, but make sure that we are educated on what legalities and roles are and so forth. Because as citizens, we observe individuals within our society every day. And I'll tell you about a brief story where we had a handicapped individual who was only temporarily handicapped. They were handicapped because they had had a bunionectomy and they couldn't put weight bearing on their foot for 6 to 8 weeks. So they went to a local store to go to the store, and there were no motorized chairs. And then they also found out the only parking spot that was left available was one that was filled with overflow of shopping carts. So there was 2 disaccommodating factors there when they couldn't park and also when they didn't have a motorized chair. That research did end up finding out from upper level management that the stores are not required to give consumers access to motorized carts, but they are required to give accommodation to disabled individuals, such as making sure the aisles are big enough, making sure that they're able to make these turns that I just mentioned, and things like that. But out of that research, the management found out of 300 employees, or not employees, but customers, 150 needed some type of accommodation that a motorized chair would have helped. So through that person speaking up, they were actually able to have that parking spot open and available, and overflow of carts went somewhere else, And they also got a handicapped motorized chair to accommodate customers when they came in, because they were thinking, if this person has just a temporary handicap, what about someone who visits this facility on a regular basis? You know, how beneficial would it be to them? So that actually initiated those kind of things. So they ended up accommodating that. And so it sort of touches base into what I have talked about with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Like, what more can we do? What more is to be done? There's a lot to be done. You know, some of the research that is along with my research proposal, we talk about, you know, handicap parking spots. 82% of handicap parking spots are available, but why isn't there 100% of, you know, parking spots available when people or shoppers visit places? And then the one thing that I actually ended up finding out, a lot of times it's about, we go back to communication accommodation theory. It's about how we can communicate with individuals, understanding what their needs are and accommodating to that. So a lot of times the customers just want to be treated fairly, to be treated equally, to be treated with respect. And if you look at some of the cited work that I share below too, Michael Prince talks about persons with invisible disabilities and workplace accommodation. So sometimes it may be something within your workplace, it may be something that you see outwardly, but if you see something, say something, and make sure that we're trying to accommodate our society, that they are actually being viewed as individuals. There's a lot of research out there. It's a lot to talk about within a 7-minute period, but the one thing that I want to convey is, you know, do we accommodate or are we disaccommodating, and how can we work greater on that? We can advocate, we can speak up, we can exercise those rights, make sure that individuals are not having their rights taken from them. But this is a lot to think about, and I hope that you will visit some of the cited work that I've shared and see how we as Americans can make this a better place to accommodate those with disabilities. Thank you. Have a great evening.